Once again, I welcome you to TYBA Special Paper 4. In this lecture, we are going to discuss a criticism of Romantic age or Romantic period. Dear students, you know that Romantic age or Romantic period of literature, it starts with the outbreak of French Revolution of 1789, or it is also believed that it starts after the publication of Lyrical Ballads in 1798. So up to 1798 or 1789 to 1832 is a period of Romantic literature or Romantic age. So in this Romantic period of literature, or in this era of literature, as far as the criticism is concerned, in our special paper 4, we are supposed to study two critics, namely William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. So before going towards the criticism or literary work of William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, it is essential to understand the features of criticism of Romantic age, that is from 1789 to 1832, or it can be said from 1798 after the publication of Lyrical Ballads to the 1832. So certain features, certain elements are important in order to understand the status of literary criticism of Romantic age or Romantic period. So certain features are going to help us to understand the essays or the thoughts that have been presented by William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge as far as their literary criticism is concerned, or their thoughts on criticism. So I have tried to put here some features of Romantic criticism. So as you can see here, these are the certain features of Romantic criticism: ignorance of rules, concern with fundamentals, imagination and importance, new definitions of poetry, pleasure rather than instructions, then poetic diction and versification. Then Romantic criticism is creative criticism, and the Romantic criticism is largely influenced by the work of William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. So work of William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, we are going to discuss it in our next video. But before we could move towards the William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, it is essential to understand what are the common features, or what are the things which were the things dominant in the criticism of Romantic age. The first essential or the important or fundamental or primary feature of Romanticism or Romantic criticism is ignorance of rules. So Romantic criticism ignores rules. They have ignored the rules of classicists like Aristotle, Plato and Horace. So the classicists or the critics like Aristotle, Plato, Horace and the French, they gave more emphasis on rules of criticism. But as far as this Romanticism is concerned, or this Romantic period of criticism is concerned, they ignore the rules that have been laid down by the classicists like Aristotle, Plato, Horace or French persons. Then the emphasis of the critique of this age or this period was on works of literature are to be judged on the basis of the impression they produce and not with reference to any rules. So for them, the literary work which makes the impression on the critic, that was important rather than the rules. So Romantic criticism, the Romantic critique, the critique of the Romantic age, they deviates from the rules. They do not give much importance to the rules as far as the evaluation, as far as the interpretation, analysis and passing on judgment on literary pieces concerned. For them, more important thing was impression rather than rules. So in other words, we can say the criticism of this age, the criticism of this period was impressionistic and individualistic. So they give much importance to freedom of inquiry than the rules. So first important feature of Romantic school of criticism or romantic period is that they deviate or they ignore the rules of classicists like Plato, Aristotle and Horace. For them, rules are not important for the evaluation of literary piece. On the contrary, they gave much importance to the impression, they gave much importance the freedom of inquiry, and that is why it is said that the impressionistic and individualistic criticism is one of the salient feature of romantic age. Then the second feature of romanticism or romantic literature is, or romantic criticism is, they gave much importance to the fundamental things. So what are the fundamental things? So fundamental things here stands for the nature of poetry and its functions. So this is the fundamental or the basic thing. The romanticism or the school of the romantic criticism or the critique of the romantic age, for them fundamental things or the basic things of the poetry are more important, and that can be put as the basic things or the fundamental things are nature of poetry and function of poetry. And the romantic critics, they do not give much importance to style, diction or literary genres. For them, style, diction and literary genres are not important, they are secondary things, and much emphasis or much importance was given to the fundamental or basic things like function and nature of poetry or poem. Then the third important salient feature of romantic age as far as the criticism is concerned is imagination and emotion. We know that William Wordsworth has defined a poem as a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So much importance, much emphasis is given to emotions and imagination rather than reason or good sense. So neoclassical period, they give importance to reason, they give importance to the truth. In classical age, importance was given to truth, but as far as this period is concerned, the critics of the romantic age or romantic period, for them imagination was important, for them emotions were important rather than reason or good sense. So emphasis is given on basis of creation of judgment and what is created. So what is created, what is written, what is composed, and what emotions it creates or evokes in the mind of critic. These emotions were important for the romantic critics rather than reason. It means that they gave much importance to heart rather than head. So whenever the head here comes, it refers to the reason, and when the word heart is used here in this context, stands for emotions. So emotions and imaginations are more important for them rather than truth, reason or good sense. So they have given much importance, or they call Shakespeare as a great one, for his works are the product of imagination. So Shakespeare is considered by the critic of the romantic age as a great one compared to Alexander Pope belonging to neoclassical age. They call Shakespeare as a great one on the basis of imagination and emotions that one can find in his plays and in his writings. And as far as the Alexander Pope is concerned, so there is a lack of imagination, there is a lack of emotions. More importance was given by Alexander Pope to the truth and reason. So this age, that is the romantic age, it deviates from the neoclassical age as far as this distinction between reason and imagination is concerned. So it is a break from classicism or neoclassicism. In neoclassical age, importance was given to truth and reason and good sense. On the contrary, in romantic a literature or romantic period of criticism, much importance is given to imagination and emotions. They give much importance to heart rather than head. Then the next characteristics of the feature of romantic period is new definitions of poetry. So poetry is no longer considered as mere imitation or invention, but becomes the expression of emotions and imagination. Before the romantic age or romantic period, so poetry was associated with imitation, poetry was associated with mimesis, but the romantic age deviates the poetry from this concept of mimesis or this concept of imitation, and for them poetry no more remain the imitation or the copy or invent something that is invented, but it becomes the expression of emotions and imagination. It means that the more the romantic critic gave, or the romantic writers gave much importance to emotions, imaginations rather than imagination. So new type of definition, new definitions of poetry, new type of meaning, new type of concept of poetry has been presented in this age. So earlier days much importance was given to rules, or in earlier days much importance was given to truth, much importance was given to reason. But as far as this romantic criticism or the era of romantic literature is concerned, they deviates from age-old long tradition of imitation, truth and reason, and for them imagination, for them emotions were important rather than truth, reason or common sense. Then the next feature of romantic criticism is pleasure rather than instruction. We know that the please and delight are the two functions of literature. Here the romantic criticism tells us about pleasure rather than instruction becomes the function of the poetry. So much importance or priority of critique of the days was given to instructions rather than pleasure rather than instructions. For them the primary function of work of art or literary piece is to provide pleasure to the readers rather than instruction. Then not only this, but Coleridge has put, if poetry instructs, it does so only through pleasure. So we know that the two fundamental functions of literature are to teach and delight. So pleasure is one of the primary function of poetry or the literary piece, and it has been presented by the romantic literature or the critic, and they thought that in Coleridge's words, Coleridge wrote that if poetry instructs, it does so only through pleasure. So instruction is there, but that instruction will be useful, that instruction will be beneficial, and that instruction will be important one when it is associated with pleasure. So much importance is given to pleasure. So poetry should transport and make people nobler, better through such a transport. So poetry is a sort of thing that transport the persons, the readers, and it make them nobler, it make them better, and appeal of poetry should be to heart rather than head. Then the next feature of romantic criticism is poetic diction and versification. So there is a radical change as far as the poetic diction and versifications are concerned. They have invented a new type of poetry. Not only this, but the William Wordsworth has suggested what type of language should be used in poetry. So we know that he wrote that the language that is used by the common persons and the theme should be related with the common subject because it goes to direct to the heart. So new type of diction, new type of words and versification are introduced by the writers of the time. So simplicity is emphasized. Rather than making a literary work a complex, rather than making a poem complex by using stylistic devices. The focus was on function and nature of poetry, so the poetry became easier, poetry became simplified compared to the other ages of literature. Then importance was given to theme rather than technical devices. Then the next feature of romantic criticism is it is a creative criticism. So romantic criticism is creative. It is a result of imagination as works of literature. Critics express their views after entering imaginatively into the thoughts and feelings of the writers. So the writers, they and their works, same impressions were felt by the critic at the time of passing on the judgment, at the time of interpreting or evaluating literary works. It means that the critics were able to understand the feelings and thoughts of the writers, and that is why the same sort of thoughts, same sort of impressions, same sort of emotions can be experienced by the critic, and it was a true criticism, and that is why it is said it is a creative criticism, because the critics were able to see the views of the writers. Critics were able to feel the views of the writer or creator. Then the next one is the last feature of romantic criticism is influence of Wordsworth and Coleridge. So Wordsworth and Coleridge were two dominant literary figure or literary persons in romantic age. So their influence is quite obvious in criticism. So we are going to study the two critics, that is S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth, in coming lecture, but we have to consider what type of impact these two critics have laid on the other critic or literary work. So in Preface to Lyrical Battles, Shakespeare has given a new type of definition and meaning of the poetry. He also talked about the theme, subject matter and choice of words. So it is Preface to Lyrical Ballads is considered as unofficial manifesto of romantic movement. So it gives rise to, the Preface of Lyrical Ballads gives rise to the romantic criticism. So Wordsworth brought fundamental changes both in theory and practice. So influence of Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge can be found everywhere as far as the criticism or literary pieces of that time is concerned, because new type of poetry, new type of theme and new type of versification or the choice of words have been introduced by S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth, and Preface to Lyrical Ballads is considered as manifesto of romantic movement or romantic criticism.